Alright, little late, but better late than never. Let's go on and knock out part 5 of Hovind's responses to R and Ra back during their awesome late 2018 video debate, where, of course, as we all know, R and Ra completely decimated Hovind, as he has in any encounter the two have had. Need to remind you about the way the Lies in the Textbooks video series went. That was just an incredible dissection of every point Kent makes. But yeah, we're not going to do much preamble. Zoomy Tomato is first. Hello, my friend. We're going to get right to it. Let me click the magic buttons that do the thing. Debate, show the debate. Double check. Yep, there's the debate. There's the video. And then I click this, and there it goes big. Okay. Y'all ready? I know I'm not.
Good evening, folks. Kent Hovind here and the crew at Dinosaur Adventureland in slightly chilly Lenox, Alabama.
Now, you will notice at this stage, again, remember this is back in 2018, they have now completely removed the SpongeBob that was taped under the Acer monitor. Because apparently, if you recall in RN's video responses, he mentions that the videos had gotten taken down and then re-uploaded, and you could notice a little black box just floating right there into the monitor. Apparently due to copyright issues because of, SpongeBob constantly being on the screen. It's rather funny, honestly, and I wish Viacom would push harder against him for that. But, we live in a country where no one's going to sue anyone who's remotely affiliated with conventional religion, even extreme branches like that, because that's just seen as wrong. So as long as you're doing it for a ministry or something, you can get away with all the copyright and trademark infringement you want.
I guess it's November. It's time to cool down. It got down to 61 today. Whew, the folks in Maine are thinking, down to 61. Anyway, thank you for joining us. We're the folks who believe the Bible is literally true and scientifically accurate, and the evolution theory is the dumbest and most dangerous religion in the history of planet Earth. And we'll be doing R and Ra round 5 in just a minute. But first, our standard announcement.
It's not really round 5, it's part 5 of round 1, Kent. This must be where you started going completely off the rails on the counting system of this, not knowing what section of responses you're in, because Aaron hadn't done anything but his initial video at this point. He let you pile these on, and then he finally responded.
Here. If you want to come volunteer, how many volunteers do we have here just this week?
People. How many of them are still there? Not a damn one of them.
Came in, stopped for a while. It was great, Got the siding started on the building, and praise God for that. Still need a farmer and a carpenter. Boy, did we get a cook. Is that food good or what tonight? Man, oh man, I'll show you something else we need next now.
No, Kent. None of us need to see that.
Bible study every night, 6:30. We've been changing it to 6:30, which is fine. We'll stay there. If you all come, let's see, tour groups, we did that. Nobody brought the satellite dish yet. Anna, what happened? We need a satellite dish brought from North Carolina down here. It's taken apart in 4 pieces, so it'll fit in the back of a pickup truck. Each piece.
Why would you need that gigantic ass, ancient, obsolete as fuck satellite dish, Kent? Also, his eyes look like completely evil, blacked out in this. Quickly, screenshot it while you got a chance. Evil Hovind. Whatever, this was like 6 years ago, 7 years ago. It doesn't fucking matter, but it's just the principle of, like, what are you trying to do? I can understand me wanting one of those because I'd love to just bounce, want 2 of them so I could bounce a signal from one place to another. That'd be cool. Direct line of sight in like a front yard or something. Totally ridiculous, but I could do it. I don't know.
Piece of pie is 5 foot maximum. Don't call this number. That's not Joey's number. Call the office. Anna will hook you up with the satellite dish. Okay. Still need a trencher. You getting one today? Did you get one? Yeah. So we rented one. Just going to run the trenches. Okay. Still need some dinosaurs. If you're a stucco artist and want to come down and make some concrete dinosaurs, we need about 300 or 400 of them made. Steel frame, stucco, put them up. Laverne, Tennessee, next week. I'll be speaking up there November 10th and 11th. It's about halfway from Murfreesboro to Nashville. Saturday and Sunday. If
Oh my God, can't get to the fucking point.
you don't want to be up that way. DAL is definitely the healing place, isn't it? Come down here. People come with all kinds of troubles and just work hard and then go sit on the sand dune and watch the stars. It's like, whoa, this place is amazing. If you'd like to do some plumbing or paint, you need a couple more four-wheelers. We need a commercial, professional dishwashing machine, right, brother?
Yes, we do.
One like this?
Amen.
You know, they moved me 32 times in federal prison. I was in for nearly 9 years for nothing, for did not break any laws.
Oh yeah, gotta go through. All the times I was moved in prison, and all the times I got moved. I did nothing wrong, but I went up in prison, Hovind.
They would always, when you go to federal prison camps, they say, where would you like to work? You have to get a job here. And I'd say, well, I taught high school science and math. I have a PhD in education. I'd like to work in education if possible, because most of the guys don't have a degree and they're working on a GED or something. And so they would put me in the kitchen. The least qualified guy to cook anything in the room would be me, okay? But very often I got to run the huge commercial dishwashing machines, some of them longer than this room, diagonally. I mean, they were ginormous. And they are fast, but they're about $10,000 for one like this. So we'll get to the point where we need one, right, brother? Yes. Okay. If you'd like to join our 777 club, help us stay open for free. Somebody sent one today, $1 a day. They said, here's 10 days worth of support for DAL. So they sent $10. Thanks for the idea, R and Ra. It was R and Ra's idea. He said, yeah, he had 666 supporters for $1 a day. I thought, wow, let's get 777 supporters for $1 a day. So if you want to help, we're going to do the job whether you help or not. But if you'd like to help, come join us. Join our 777 club. I think Rhonda just sent out, or is sending out very soon, certificate of appreciation. We do things once in a while nice just for the members of the 777 club. Okay, the Bible warned us in 2 Peter.
Get to Aaron, and I don't give a fuck about 2 Peter 3. Don't give a fuck about anything in the Bible, can't. I'm going back to normal speed so that once he finally gets doing his mockery of Aaron's, incredible eloquence, we'll at least have Kent at normal speed.
Peter chapter 3, knowing this first, that there shall come in the last days scoffers, walking after their own lusts. And I think the person we're going to be listening to tonight and interjecting my comments qualifies for being a scoffer and for walking after his own lust and for saying, where is the promise of his coming? For since the fathers fell asleep, all things continue as they were from the beginning of the creation. For this they willingly are ignorant, that by the word of God the heavens were of old, and the earth standing out of the water and in the water. They do not want to admit, they don't want to even think that God made the world. Because if they would admit that, it would change their whole lifestyle. Now there's a boss like God. Accountability. So we started going through the...
Now, Kent, let us remind you that the Satan character, whatever name you want to give it, is more aware of the deity than anyone else, and yet still actively rebelled. So it seems like that's not really the issue, is it? Seems to be more the issue of raw evidence to even begin to believe a proposition, and then we can decide whether we want to, follow that or still rebel against it. But even in your own theology, it isn't consistent. Characters with full knowledge of the deity rebel.
The different things in the alphabet, the letter A, I said, how could this evolve? The letter B, etc. And Aaron Nelson, who calls himself Aaron Ra, Mr. Nelson picked on some of the items and he said he answered all my items on his website. So we're going to continue tonight where he says, he claims, I explained the evolution of the backbone in my video. So let's just hear what he has to say when we get to that point here.
I also explained the evolution of the backbone very briefly in my video on olfactors, craniates, and vertebrates, which should have been 3 videos, really.
Do you know what those things are, Kent? Do you? Can you explain what each one of those, orders? I think it's orders. Class or order would be. Taxonomy really doesn't matter. What those particular groupings are defined as. I mean, it matters, but it doesn't, I don't need to use the exact verbiage to get the point across. I could say kind. And if it wasn't for the fact you'd take that as a win, it'd still be apt in this usage.
Summaries that bony vertebrae developed from a buildup of...
Well, I explained it in my video. Mr. Nelson, let me explain something to you, okay?
I'm just going to take a moment since Abdullah pops up with, let's hear what Hovind has to say, because we know it's going to be something funny. That a person had commented, why don't I cover Aaron's videos? And I'm like, what am I going to do? Spend most of the video just going, yep, I agree. It's like we've all seen it. We all know what Aaron said. The whole point of us doing this is to watch the stuff that didn't make it into Aaron's video because it's pointless. There's very little of what Kent said is actually related to anything or isn't just him repeating his tired old script that Aaron had partially debunked before Kent was out of prison, incidentally. So yeah, this is all about just seeing in depth how Kent actually handled his side of this back and forth, which has been incredibly pathetic. And otaku, sadly we must. Sadly we must. Yeah, exactly, Watching Aaron's side, we're just going to agree with him the whole time.
Because you talked does not mean it made any sense. I had students without fail that would answer every question. Didn't mean they got the right answer, okay? Aesop explained how the mouse ate the ropes and freed the lion. I mean, he explained how it happened. The mouse ate the ropes and let the lion go. It was a fairy tale, a fable. It's been explained how the princess kissed the frog to find her prince. I mean, that's been explained. What's the problem? We explained that. You understand how somebody can say, oh, well, I explained it. That doesn't mean it's true.
Wow. You really want to use these examples and really want to, go down this chain of logic, Kent? Really? With your whole creation science thing you and your friends do? Well, friends in loose quotes. You don't have any friends except people like Chris Jones.
It could be a fairy tale. It's been thoroughly explained how Dorothy clicked her heels and returned to Kansas. It's very simple to get back to Kansas. Click your heels. Hello, it's been explained.
What? Did y'all hear that?
They clicked her heels and returned to Kansas. It's very simple to get back to Kansas. Click.
Back to Kansas? What are you trying to say there, Kent? Is there something we don't know?
It's been thoroughly explained how Dorothy clicked her heels and returned to Kansas. It's very simple.
All right, we're doing the slow-mo thing. Props to AJ for doing this one time and giving me the idea to do it regularly.
To get back to Kansas.
Kansas. All right there, Kent. I mean, they are a Christian organization.
Click your heels. Hello, it's been explained. It's been explained how lightsabers have special power. To carry a lightsaber is an example of incredible skill and confidence, dexterity, attunement to the...
No, you can carry it easily. It's using it that's a thing. And Disney broke that canon because apparently Finn and Rey can just pick them up and go ham wild on them and fight, someone like fucking Kylo Ren. Now, let's be clear. I actually generally like Kylo Ren as a character concept. I think it could have worked. But Disney fucked everything up. I also think Finn being force sensitive would have been the route to go by, and honestly, the whole thing should have focused on Finn. Don't like Rey at all. Finn's the shit. Made sense for him to pick it up. Rey, no sense. So Disney broke that canon either way, but still. The skill is in being able to actually wield it effectively as a weapon, as a tool, not being able to hold one, as you said.
The Force and a vivid imagination to carry an extended flashlight and go around and pretend like you got power. Duh. Okay. So the fact that you
Kent, you realize those are works of pure fiction for entertainment. It's not film with some people LARPing or something, dude. Come on. What the fuck, Kent?
explained it on your video does not mean it makes any sense. Does not mean it's true. Keep that thought in mind, please. It might just be another fairy tale. So, here's what you said about the backbone. Oh, F5, new command here. I like this.
Calcium deposits in what was a cartilaginous skeleton. Vertebrates inherited an increasingly osteoporosis, really. The summary is that bony vertebrae developed from a buildup of calcium deposits in what was a cartilaginous skeleton. Vertebrates inherited...
Now, hold it. Vertebrates...
Well, he goes back to Star Wars. To be fair, most of his stuff is, different little misspeakings, but he's supposed to be perfect, so we have to hold Hovind accountable to every stupid mistake he says.
Bony... Slow down here. Bony vertebra developed from calcium deposits in what was a cartilaginous skeleton. Anna, give me the shark's jaw, would you, out of the flood room? Sharks don't have any bones. They only have teeth that fossilize or they're preserved. The rest of their whole skeleton is made of cartilage, like your ear and your nose, and between your joints you have cartilage. If you ever eat a piece of meat or eat a turkey or something, the gristle is the cartilage. Okay, and he's claiming here, just making up a story, like click your heels together and you'll go back to Kansas. Bony vertebrae developed from calcium.
So it's a book about Obi-Wan Kenobi. Got it, Jess.
Deposits in what was a skeleton made of cartilage. Okay, well, let's see here. Hardened calcium deposits can interrupt vital processes in the brain and heart. I tried to find anything good about calcium deposits.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. Disney really should have, they decided to pretty much steal from the now Legends continuities in a lot of ways, to a point where they should honestly have just taken some of the now Legends stories and made those. Just done something with that. That would have been the best thing to do, but no.
Okay, I can't find anything good on the internet about it. Calcium deposits are bad, they're harmful, okay? Thank you, ma'am. This is a shark's jaw as an example. It's dried out. This is cartilage, okay? It won't fossilize. It's cartilage. Their whole body's made of cartilage. They're really flexible. Not as much as my brother. He's the one that's flexible. Did I tell you about that, my brother?
Don't want to hear it, Kent.
He's a contortionist. And he married a fortune teller. And they have a child that can foresee his own end. You talk about flexible. That's flexible.
Oh my fucking God, that joke was garbage.
Flexible. What do you think, Brother Tom? Okay, anyway, cartilage won't fossilize. It just dissolves away, but the teeth are preserved in sharks. Anyway, so he is claiming that the bones in your back and your body develop from calcium deposits. Well, hardened calcium deposits can interrupt vital processes. Calcifications in your blood vessels can lead to coronary heart disease. And you're claiming this is the process that how backbone developed.
Good old Hovind with the just similar, there's completely unrelated thing that happens to be, just a similar process happening, but in a completely different situation. Oh, it's bad, therefore anything related to this is bad. What? You got less than nothing, Kent. This is the best you can do, old man?
Kidney stones, right. Somebody said IP6, the vitamin IP6 dissolves kidney stones, and so you don't get them. So they said you can remember it easy. IP6 is better than IP rocks. Okay. You and your doctor can talk about the best ways to manage the health issues that may put you at risk for calcifications. So you made a statement, Mr. Nelson, that, oh yeah, the cartilage was replaced slowly, bit by bit, by calcium deposits. You said vertebrates inherited an increasingly ossified version of that skeleton. Now, what he does is, well, let's just see here.
What he does is speak the actual fucking truth, Kent.
Rambles on and on about this imaginary fairy tale stuff of how it happened. Oh, F5.
Which should have been 3 videos, really. The summary is that bony vertebrae developed from a buildup of calcium deposits in what was a cartilaginous skeleton.
Green space women need love too. That's all I'm saying.
Vertebrates inherited an increasingly ossified version of that same structure. This is how osteichthyes diverged from chondrichthyes.
Now, I am not sure if Imodium works. I know it works on diarrhea, but I don't know if it works on diarrhea of the mouth.
Who the fuck are you to talk about diarrhea of the mouth, Kent? Iron speaking actual real science, like you profess to love so much.
But we need a test dummy, okay? And I think we found one here. Pepto-Bismol also may work. Okay, let me explain it here. Calcium deposits are not good as a general rule, and to make up a story that, oh yeah, they just replaced their cartilage with calcium. First place, if you have a creature that's alive, obviously it's functioning. Why does it need to replace anything? Is there any evidence for any animal adding new material changing like this? Why doesn't the shark replace his cartilage?
Wow, Kent. Hey, you ever notice when you've been out in the sun a bit, you start to tan? It's not quite replacement, but something's happening there. Or hey, how about the areas of your skin that get rubbed against a lot? Like the heels of our foot, for example? Oftentimes either get blisters because of soreness, or if they, toughen up, you get the calluses. It added something. It replaced something. I wonder, Kent. Maybe extrapolate that over populations over generations. Maybe it proving to be beneficial as it adds up, but slowly. So each generation still, slowly adapts to this change. Like how we've gotten taller over time. Humans are supposed to be kind of shorter than we are, although you would disagree. But we've kind of been perking up since our diet's gotten really, really good. Doing fine. It's not that big of a morphological change. See where I'm going? I know my audience does. I know you won't. But like you're ever going to watch this. Maybe Joseph will. In case Joseph watches this. Hi, Joseph.
With calcium deposits and get bony skeleton. Sharks get hunormous and they are made of cartilage. So they're doing fine. I don't see any reason for them to do that. I sure don't see any evidence of it happening. And what I've been able to find, calcium deposits so far are not good. It's relatively common.
Look, I'm just saying, Jonathan Frank's best role was as David Xanatos in Gargoyles. That's all I'm saying.
Phenomena characterized by formation of calcium deposits in and around tendons, other connective tissues. Calcific tendinitis most commonly occurs in between the ages of 30 to 60. It's bad, okay? There's all kinds of websites about surgeries to remove calcium deposits and the problems they cause around the tendons. And
yes, Kent, and would you do surgeries to remove the calcium deposits surrounding your bone marrow? Your bones? Probably wouldn't do that. Probably because it's contextually specific. Oh, this is good calcium, but this is bad, like cholesterol. It spreads like bad cholesterol, but it tastes like good. I forget Zoidberg's joke. Rosina would be killing me right now. Her profile picture's freaking Zoidberg. But, when they go inside a Fry in Futurama and he butters the sandwich with the cholesterol. Like, it tastes like bad cholesterol, but it spreads like good cholesterol. I don't know. I can't remember the joke, but it was a funny one.
The kidneys, for example. Calcium appetite deposition disease. So you're claiming that calcium will slowly replace the cartilage. I'd like to see an example of how that happens, and it's good. And you'll probably give me, well, the way a baby develops, as it grows and the bones harden. That's a different process than what you're talking about. You're talking about...
No, it isn't a different process. It is the same process. Different things catalyzing it, as in, natural processes just kind of happening and it proving beneficial versus something that's going to happen based on the entire evolutionary lineage of us, but it's the same physical process.
A creature that was...
That's like saying launching John Glenn to orbit and launching a goddamn SpaceX dick rocket is completely different. It's like, no, it's the same process. Just different things doing it. I don't know. I know how I want to articulate this, but I can't quite word it, but I know y'all know what I mean. Let's move on before I embarrass myself further. Harwin.
Was already alive that had a cartilage skeleton, and it replaced it little bit by little bit. This is imagination. This is fairy tale stuff. This is click your heels together, and it'll turn from cartilage to calcium. So you said it changed itself. Well, first of all, you started with the cartilage skeleton.
Our enormous friend Jesus. I love that one.
Which would mean that you already had a very complex animal that was alive, able to reproduce, grow, breathe, digest, etc. You start with something already incredibly complex in your imaginative story. And you make up a just-so story backed up by nothing but imagination. You expect everyone to swallow it. Where are the half-calcified fossils? Show me a fossil that is half calcified. He kind of answered this a little bit right here. Let's see.
And some of the evidence of that is taxonomic, where some of the most primitive lobed-finned or lunged fishes, like polypteriforms, for example.
Bro, you got to meet John Glenn. That's fucking awesome. I mean, best I got was when he went into space in STS 98, I believe. One of my pieces of art that's in storage is a photo from that launch. I tracked down which one it is. We got to go to the gym and watch that. I was, of course, the only one who knew that everything was fine when the SRBs separated because I was the nerd who was counting it down, knowing that it was little after 2 minutes from launch. I'm going to double check. STS 95, October 29th, 1998. Excuse me, that's why I got 98, because it was 1998. Yeah, so I was in 8th grade. I thought I was in 7th. Oh, well.
Have substantially less calcium in their skeletons than typical teleosts.
Well, let's just talk about that, Mr. Nelson. Lungfish are living today, and they do just fine, okay? They have lungs, and they can breathe, or they can go in the water, either one. But they make I said, how did we change from a calcium, or from a, from calcium, or from cartilage to backbone? And so here's spinal cord evolution. Guess what they have here? Drawings, not examples. Oh yeah, started off pure cartilage and slowly developed bone.
Ah, yes, Ohio, the state that's produced more astronauts than any other. What is it about Ohio that makes people just want to leave? I don't know.
Around it and slowly became a vertebral column. Look, a vertebral column is incredibly complicated.
Ooh, Charlie Duke, awesome. Heard he was pretty damn awesome to chat with. I hate that I'm pretty much never going to get to meet any of my heroes like that, but I'm okay with that. Besides, the person I'd want to meet most died, well before I was born. Gus Grissom. Let's continue.
Ask a chiropractor, okay? Each bone is complicated, let alone the cartilage between them and the nerve running up through there. If you ever had any back trouble, like I have every day of my life for the last, since I was 17 and got hit by that car, you'll understand. The
They should have hit you harder.
Backbone is phenomenally complex. It couldn't happen by chance.
Except it's not complex. Every bit of complexity that you see is emergent patterns. The complexity is really elegant, organic simplicity, and you just claim it's complicated and then be like, well, it couldn't possibly have been, been created randomly. I'm just going to straw man everything. It's got to be the God.
You claim that these fish slowly developed this system. This is dreaming, this is imagination stuff. And then you claim that there's a line of evidence here. I said I'd play every word, and I will.
Certainly tetrapods. This hypothetical was predicted by the theory and later confirmed in support of the theory, so that counts as evidence too.
You said no matter how positively you think you know it, if you can't show it, then you don't know it. Aaron, you don't know evolution is true. You can't show it. You can't show it on any of the...
I've met a few people of note. One of them being Steve Bloom, voice Spike Spiegel and Cowboy Bebop. Lots of other well-known voices. God, I forget what else he's done, but it's so much. He's done a ton of voices in Guild Wars, including one of the main ancillary characters, Ritlock. So he signed my copy of the game. Incidentally, he also did voices in, extra voices in Stalker Clear Sky, the second game of the Stalker series. And I brought that up in the question and answer, or like a little Q&A thing. And you could see, I still have the film of it, but I never uploaded it, where he looks surprised, like, wow, that random role. And I'm glad I kind of, you can see him smile, just like, wow, the random role, and you care about it. It's like, yeah, dude, you're awesome. It was cool.
Items. I'm on number 44, 45 tonight.
I've already shown it on each of the examples you just mentioned. Should I refer you to my series on the systematic classification of life?
Should I refer you to Aesop's Fables?
Charlie Duke was Apollo 16, not Apollo 17, and lives in New Braunfels. Oh, damn. Yeah, because Apollo 17 was Gene Cernan is who my Jack Schmidt and Command Module pilot Ron Evans. Yeah, my brain was making Cernan slash Schmidt, mixing them up because I'm getting old. I'm mixing my people up. Yeah, it was Apollo 16. On that note, with Apollo 16, I have U.S. Space and Rocket Center has the command module for Apollo 16, so I have seen it. I have been very, very close to it. I have some close pictures that I took, like zooming in, like, ooh, let me get the RCS, let me get the honeycomb texture of the heat shield, let me get this, let me get that. Cool stuff. Fucking love to get to physically touch that thing. So I have a soft spot for Apollo 16. Hey, I'm talking the US dub. Give me a break, otaku. Conception. Middle Vira, but had to pay to get in line. Yeah. Some of these people, it's a little overboard. Like, I'd love to chat with Mark Hamill, but $400, $500 for like a meet and greet is just insane. It's like, dude, I know you're freaking Luke Skywalker. I know you voiced Joker in Batman animated series. You've done a lot of good stuff, but dude, be reasonable. And I've heard he's kind of a dick, but I don't know. That could just be people being pissed off because he's pretty openly left wing.
Just because you made a video about it and you talk doesn't mean it made any sense. It doesn't mean it's true, and it doesn't mean it's scientifically accurate. Okay, ask me afterwards. Don't interrupt now, okay? All right. Threw me off track here. If it's like the house is burning.
Yeah, these celebrities, it gets a little overboard. At a point, you stop being reachable. Yeah, I'm totally reachable. I go to an event and you want to say hi to Crucio Tomato, just come say hi and I'll hang out. I don't know, probably be a boring conversation, but that's because I'm just me. Then I'll charge you $99.95 for the privilege now. But seriously, since it looks strongly like, unless any other issues going, I'll be at the ARC protest. If you end up going there, you might find me. I should be able to spot. I'll make sure I'm easy to find. Me and my stupid hat.
Come tell me, but otherwise don't tell me. Okay. All right. Let's see, where'd they go? Oh, right here.
Because I just uploaded episode number 35, which talks about the 4 Eutherian superorders and how these were genetically identified and how the molecular clock determines this divergence to have occurred just over 98 million years ago.
I'm thinking Pepto-Bismol right now.
I guarantee that my series has more substance than any or all of yours.
You guarantee?
Yeah. Every one of Aaron's video series is far more in-depth, far more substantial than anything, than the sum of Kent Hovind's stuff, because Kent is just perpetually repeating the same garbage, looking for trigger words and just going at it. We all know that, of course, but... we accidentally changed sizes.
T. Okay, well, I guess the debate's on, Mr. Nelson. Here we go. You can imagine it. Yeah, we got to get the rainbow. Imagine. You can do a rainbow for me, you editors. Okay. So I would like to go back and watch my videos and show me to answer my questions.
Maybe I should. I could make a career out of correcting you.
I'm making a pretty good career out of correcting you, Mr. Nelson. It's taken 4 nights, and I'm not even...
I'm making a career out of correcting Hovind.
up to your 3 evidences for evolution yet. I'm trying to get there. So, because you mentioned at the very beginning of your diatribe that, yeah, you were going to pause and talk as long as you had to about, remember about the equal time stuff? Somebody said, well, how come you've covered 40?
Yeah. Thunderstruck earlier. Then it kind of pittered out. Oh, no. There's light outside. That's about the most I pay attention to the outside world. So far, so good.
2 minutes to cover 6 minutes of his. It takes 42 minutes to unravel and explain the lies he covers in 6 minutes. That's why. And he does what's called projection. He projects that onto me as if I'm the one doing that. No, this is you, Mr.
Reverses everything. Every time.
Nelson, where's that mirror? There it is. Look in the mirror, okay? So, anyway, but go ahead.
This would be just like my series on David C. Pack. But you think I have to imagine evolution?
Yes, sir. I think you completely imagine evolution. No doubt about it. Nobody's ever seen a dog produce a non-dog or a cow produce a non-cow. It's never been observed.
I've seen a cow produce a non-cow. We all have. We all know what happens. One of these days you'll realize what's wrong with that.
Yes, you imagine that a cartilage skeleton changed to an ossified skeleton. You imagine that. And finding a fossil in the dirt isn't proof of anything, and first graders should know that. You don't know that that's transitional to anything. No fossils count as evidence. We've covered that 100 times.
No Bibles count as evidence, except my statement's actually true.
How could it? You don't know it had any children that lived. You don't know it was changing from something else to something else. No animal today can do this. Why can it happen long ago and far away, but it can't happen today?
So everything's a transitional form, technically speaking, and everything's always changing into something else. Humans are going to be different in another, couple of 100,000 years. Noticeably different. Be interesting. If we had a time machine and just jump ahead 500,000 years and see what humans are like if we survive. It'd be pretty wild.
Never happens today. Nobody ever sees this. They'll say, well, it happens too slowly. I had an atheist tell me this in a debate one time. Why don't we see it happening today? He said, well, it happens too slowly. I said, later on in the debate, I said, why don't we see it in the fossils? He said, well, it happened too quickly. Okay.
Yeah, Kent. You're trying to talk about a process that you'd want to see happening at, let's say, 1 mile an hour versus something that's happening at 10,000. And you're expecting it to just magically be somewhere in the middle. Like, no, dog. Weird analogy. Kind of just off the cuff, but weather's got me a little, under the weather. I'm feeling a bit rough. So it's the best you're going to get. Besides, Hovind doesn't deserve that much brain power.
This reminds me of when you said that evolution was a fairy tale for grown-ups.
It is.
A fairy tale is a fable with a moral and folklorish elements like witches, wizards, giants, and dragons.
And intermediate fossils.
There's curses and blessings, which are both magical enchantments.
And, gods and... hell. Where were we at? He was about drinking. We were right about here.
He said no matter how...
On each of the examples you just mentioned.
A little further.
Interrupt me 288 times. To put up with this stuff, listen carefully. I'm going to try to explain some things you can... I'm sorry. The second law of thermodynamics would tell us things naturally in...
Anyone remember where we were? Because I, accidentally hit 0 and screwed up. There we go. There's where we were.
Folklorish elements like witches, wizards, giants, and dragons.
And intermediate fossils.
There's curses and blessings, which are both magical enchantments, and animals that talk and act like human beings.
Yeah, like monkeys turning to humans. And college professors pretending they're human and teaching kids they came from an ape. Yeah.
So even if the Bible were true, which can't be, it would still be a fairy tale by definition.
And so is evolution. A complete fairy tale. And nobody's ever seen any of this. It's pure imagination. Now, continue. Okay.
But that doesn't apply at all to evolution.
It
so
does.
That's just another one of your lies. The fallacy of projection.
Boys, that's what you've been doing the whole time, son. You project. You talk about ramble. You had to interrupt me 288 times during my 36 minutes of speaking.
Cry me a river. No one fucking cares how many times you're interrupted, Ken. It's because you're a fucking moron and you deserve correction.
Time.
Let me put it in a language you understand, Kent. You need corrected. There. Did that make sense? Because that's the way you speak.
And then your disciples commenting on my YouTube channel say, well, yeah, you're spending 42 minutes answering only 6 minutes of his stuff. Or some of the things he mentions, the college professors do. They get the diarrhea of the mouth for hours at a time, and students try frantically to take notes and they can barely
try frantically to cake notes.
keep up. They sure can't stop and ask a question. By the time they get ready, the teacher's gone 10 more minutes on 40 other subjects. That's what you're doing. You're projecting, Mr. Nelson, but let's go to your first evidence, finally.
Which brings me to the 3 lines of evidence in support of evolution that you asked for. The first of them is the fact that evolution happens.
So the first line of evidence is the fact that evolution happens. Now, I want you to stop and think about that just for a few minutes, okay? The proof for evolution is
You're circular. Worst thing we ever did was teach idiots about the logical fallacies they use. You try to help them not make them, and instead they continue to make them and then accuse everyone else of making the same ones they do.
evolution happens. I mean, now I'm going to get listen. And you poor college students that have to put up with this stuff, listen carefully. I'm going to try to explain some things you can do to try to survive the insanity you're subjected to.
That biodiversity
I could describe some things you need to do, Kent, but that's against YouTube terms of service.
and complexity do increase. Now,
Biodiversity and complexity increase. Okay, so you said the first line of evidence, the fact that evolution happens, biodiversity, bio means living, diverse is different, biodiversity and complexity increase naturally. Do they really? Does complexity naturally, just by nature, increase?
Sorry, mid-yawn here. Yes, Kent. Yes, it does.
Does our shop automatically get more organized?
Shops are artificial constructs. They are not natural. Therefore, the analogy breaks down.
Bill, you work frantically trying to just keep a pathway through the thing, you know, and trying to put all the tools back, okay? So, no, I'm sorry, Mr. Nelson. The second law of thermodynamics says things tend to decrease in order, and your favorite guys like Asimov would say the same thing. Another way of stating the second law of thermodynamics is the universe is constantly getting more disorderly.
No, it's really not. And that's not what the second law of thermodynamics actually says. It's talking about equilibrium. And there is a metric fuck ton of energy in the system that's still ready to do work. Y'all think this is a ball that was dropped 6,000 years ago and it's about to hit the ground. It's like, no. No, there's a lot more going on. I don't know. I'm having trouble coming up with good analogies right now. My brain's like running on 30%. I want to take a nap. This is nap weather right here. But I don't feel like doing it. I don't like to sleep in the day. But I do kind of want to lay down after this. I don't know. We'll see if I get that tired from the Hovind, because man, this feels like it's taking an eternity. Let's continue.
Viewed that way, we can see the second law all about us. We have to work hard to straighten out a room, but left to itself, it becomes a mess again very quickly and very easily. Even if we never enter it, it becomes dusty and musty. How difficult to maintain houses and machinery, our bodies in perfect working order, how easy to let them deteriorate. In fact, all we have to do is nothing. And everything deteriorates, collapses, breaks down, wears out all by itself. That's what the second law is all about. So, no, I'm sorry. The second law of thermodynamics would tell us things do not naturally increase in complexity. But notice how he just ran through that statement and we'll go right on.
Yes, this is my second stream today because when I get bored and don't feel like doing anything else, I hop online and stream. That's my thing now. When I'm super bored. Like being regular bored, except I wear a cape. I don't know.
On to something else, and the poor student who's hearing a teacher say this, well, he said it's true, it's got to be true. This is where you got to stop these guys, which I love this pause button on here. This is
Tyler, I don't know. I can think of a few units of disorder. You know, the German army come late about this time back in 45. They were units of disorder. Oh, now that is a grade A Kent Hovind garbage joke, but at least it was actually funny.
This is wonderful. Wish we'd had that in our first debate, Mr. Nelson. You kept interrupting me, and that's what everybody's been trying to explain to you, your debate tactic of just blasting over everybody. And I know you'll excuse it, and you'll say, well, I had to because you're covering more lies in one sentence than there are words in that sentence. Well, this is great. I'm going to
I don't know. Hovind's room probably got some biological material everywhere. We don't know what's happened in that place.
take your videos as I get time, and if we go through and stop line by line and say, okay, what did he just say here? Am I getting it right? Let's back up 10 seconds here and make sure I got that right. Which brings me to the three lines of evidence in support of evolution that you asked.
The first of them is the fact that evolution happens, that biodiversity
I'm going to go back 10 seconds, clicks back 5 minutes.
and complexity do increase naturally as alleles vary in increasing distinction in reproductive populations where beneficial mutations do occur and are in.
Hold it. Beneficial mutations occur in these populations and genetic complexity increases. They just makes this statement and runs right on. Pepto-Bismol time right here. Let's just talk for a minute. Is it true? Oh, hang on right here. I think I got it figured out. I'm getting that, Steve. This is great. Evolution is based on two totally faulty assumptions. This is a few slides out of my seminar part 4, Lies in the Textbooks, if you folks would like all this, which is part of the bigger series, Creation Seminar, $50 for the whole thing, 18 hours on creation, evolution, all the facts for creation. Okay. It's based on the assumption that mutations will make something new and natural selection makes it survive and take over the population. See, if mutation happened and one animal became a little better than the rest, what must happen to the rest?
Absolutely nothing. The only person, where you're going with this, the only person obsessed with death here is you.
They got to die. If they don't die, the new improved critter or plant or whatever can't take over the population. It gets blended back.
It's not about taking over, it's just about surviving. Isolation is usually the biggest factor in all that. Because populations of species, the species will generally find a niche in the ecosystem, and when things diverge like that, they're usually going to carve out their own particular niche that is obviously not the niche that the parent organism is going to be at. So no, there's no need for them for the previous to die. Alternately, you can have whole populations together of a species continue to shift further. Thus, it isn't so much they died, it's just you notice as you go back that, hey, this population was most definitely different. Interesting. Yeah, they died because they got old. Living organisms eventually die. But it wasn't an eradication like you think, where they just kicked them out of house, home, and ate all the resources, and they all just starved to death while the new and improved was sitting there living, like fucking Wall Street pigs. That's not at all how evolution works. It's not how biology or life works. And you talk about, oh, you can see this, you can see that, you never see this, you never see that. Well, we see that all the fucking time in the way species are. So we know how things carve out their niches in the ecosystem. It's pretty amazing.
Back in. So evolution is actually a religion of death. This is Adolf.
Says the death cult, and here we go with Godwin's law, as he continues to say the same shit he always says.
Hitler 101. Let's find the superior race and kill off the rest and speed up the process. We cover that on video number 5, the dangers of evolution, in my series here. So,
oh, you're not going to bring up that's the one they put you in prison for? Not going to do that, Hovind?
And evolution's a religion of death, it's not of life. Natural selection is the superior one survives, the weaker die, and that's a good thing in their thinking. The inferiors die off. How many saw the movie The Christmas Carol, the old one, Ebenezer Scrooge, And he said, are there no workhouses? He said, it's best if they die off and decrease the surplus population. Did you hear that line in that movie? Yeah, watch that carefully.
Can we decrease the surplus, Hovind?
The question is very simple. Did man bring death into the world?
Also, I should note that Scrooge was an indescribably strict capitalist who cared nothing for anyone else in any way, shape, or form. And that in some ways his character was a statement on the growth of big business and big industry as a side effect of the Industrial Revolution, where the balance of power simultaneously changed yet stayed the same in a weird, twisted way.
Like the Bible says, or did death bring man into the world? See, according to the Bible, man brought death into the world, and death is a bad thing. According to evolution, millions of years of death brought man into the world. And death is a wonderful thing. Death is the hero of the plot in evolution. Think about that for 5 minutes. Natural selection. This textbook talks about mutations, as you mentioned. Mutations are the original source of variation in populations. So you get a bunch of animals, let's say sharks, okay, and one has a mutation that is a little better than the rest. The rest have to die. And this is how the process goes through a whole series of accumulated mutations in their fairy tale where you click your heels together. So, mutations are the original source of variation. Well, I'm sorry, this is simply lie number 7 in my series on the videotape here. Mutations do not cause...
Yeah, and Aaron went through your entire thing and tore it apart completely. So your lies mean nothing.
...evolution. And most scientists who understand this will admit it. Like Pierre-Paul Gross said, no matter how numerous they may...
Okay, I'm not saying I want this audio per se, but I really do want to know where so much of this stuff is archived. Like, I really do want, if someone can try to compile stuff, archives of the details of a lot of allegations, such as this one on screen. The things about his search history, you know, all of these things, so that I can at least have something to cite back to in the future, should I need such. If anyone wants to work on that and help out, that'd be great. Because there's so much Ken Hovind lore that I cannot go through.
Mutations do not produce any kind of evolution. They rearrange existing information. Somebody called me yesterday or today, about mutations. I said, hold it, I'm not aware of any mutations that add information. If a person has 6 fingers, hexadecimalism, is that new information or is that copying existing information?
It's not what that condition's called.
They already had the information to make a finger, it just made an extra one, right? Mutations don't increase genetic complexity. Dr. Lee Spetner taught information theory for decades at Johns Hopkins University and Weizmann Institute, spent years studying mutations. He has written an important new book, Not by Chance, Shattering the Modern Theory of Evolution. In the book, he wrote, in all the reading I've done in the life sciences literature, I've never found a mutation that added information. All point mutations that have been studied.
Can you give me, if you have the opportunity, can remember what I should search or the title, definitely put it in the chat. I just want to make sure I find the right thing. Not that I seriously at all want to hear anything related to this, but much like a lot of the information regarding Christian Weston Chandler, you've got to take the details as they are. The facts are the facts, even if they're unpleasant or outright disgusting.
On the molecular level, turn out to reduce the genetic information, not increase it. Mutations happen, no question. But that's not going to drive evolution. Here's a 5-legged bull. There's no new information added. He already had a leg, it built one in the wrong place, that's all.
That was an absorbed twin.
Here's a short-legged sheep. That's a mutation. Already had legs, just made them too short. He's the first one the wolf is going to catch.
Yeah, Laura, exactly. Having the new finger is new information. It's another copy of a finger. Aw, damn it. Thank you, Tubian. Thank you. Well, I kind of hope someone can find an archive of that, but I also kind of don't, but who knows. Still.
Go, boys, go. Here comes the wolf. Brrr, Herman couldn't run fast enough. Too bad, Herman. See you later. Mutations generally get wiped out of the population, not take over the population. Here's a 2-headed lamb at the Ripley's Museum in Florida. There's a 1-eyed cat. That's a mutation. Not going to survive very long. How about a 2-faced cat? I've seen plenty of 2-faced people, but...
Yeah, you're one of them.
How about a 2-headed turtle? That's a mutant. It's not ninja, but it's mutant, okay? And he's going to freeze first winter. Nobody makes a double-neck turtleneck sweater that I've ever seen, okay? So, see, mutations are scrambling existing information. From the letters of the word Christmas, you can get also...
Oh, true, that is a Hox gene mutation. It's not going to be the same as duplication.
Sorts of other words. Christmas games, you have games, who can make the most words out of the letters from Christmas. But you're never going to get Xerox, zebra, or queen. There's no Z available. It's not in Christmas. So a mutation is not...
Depends on how you define the letters.
...going to add information. It's going to scramble existing information, and all known mutations are detrimental, harmful, fatal, or neutral. Don't do anything. Nobody's given a good one. Here's a 4-winged fly. This textbook says, Normal fruit flies have 2 wings. This mutant has 4. This rare mutation, like most mutations, is harmful. Beneficial mutations are the raw material for natural selection. Excuse me. You showed us a picture of a bad one, and you told us most of them are bad, but you told us the good ones are how this works. Why don't they give an example of a good mutation? Nobody's ever seen one. Nobody's ever seen a beneficial mutation. One guy debated, he said, I know a beneficial mutation. People in Africa that have sickle cell anemia are less likely to get malaria.
We've been over this one.
Both sickle cell and malaria are bad, sir. Okay.
Once again, and I'm sure I'll be corrected on this, it's my understanding that a trait that creates a resistance to malaria can cause the condition sickle cell anemia. But it's not the sickle cell anemia that makes people resistant to malaria. You don't even understand what you're talking about, Kent.
It may be true there's a lower incidence of malaria in those with sickle cell anemia, but that's like saying, hey, did you know if you cut off your legs, you can't get athlete's foot? That's not a beneficial mutation, okay? Then you talked about natural selection. Evolution and natural selection? Natural selection causes evolution, this textbook says. It can't possibly. It's a selection process. It selects out of the gene code available certain ones to survive that are like the faster lions are going to be more likely to get the food, or the taller giraffe to reach the trees, or whatever they're trying to. Nature does have some selective power within the existing options. Natural selection. Genes vary in natural populations. They talk about the giraffe stretching his neck to reach the taller trees. This was proven wrong years ago. This is Lamarckism. Nobody with a brain and understands science believes that anymore. Natural selection, an important mechanism of evolutionary change. I'm sorry, natural selection is not going to change anything in the evolution theory. Lamarck's theory, variation is acquired. And you mentioned, let's go on here and let you talk for a minute while I go get the Pepto. Right here, okay.
Inherited by descendant sets, and that variation is accelerated in genetically isolated groups.
Variation is accelerated in genetically isolated groups. Here's what he's saying. If you have a small group of people that are animals or plants, whatever, that are isolated from the rest of the world, and now genetic variation can go very rapidly. Well, you still got the problem of them now taking over the world with their new improved gene species.
That's not the point. You see, you're so dominionist. All they have to do is survive. That's it. That's all life cares about. Surviving. And by that I mean the individual specimens reproducing and the population continuing. That's it. It's all life gives a fuck about, if you even want to describe it that way, because that's probably being too generous with the anthropomorphism being applied.
Need faith to believe that, because natural selection, sexual selection, and genetic drift have all been proven to have predictable effect in guiding this variance.
Okay. Well, let's talk about this for a minute, Mr. Nelson. You got to stop you just page at a time, okay? Creationists don't have any argument with natural selection. We thought of it first, okay? It's only a conservative process that removes defective organisms and keeps the species strong. That's what it does. Natural selection may have a stabilizing effect. It does not promote speciation. It's not a creative force, as many people have suggested from Science magazine. Natural selection can act only on those biological properties that already exist. It cannot create properties in order to meet adaptational needs. And in the 6th edition of Darwin's book, I've got several editions of it over there, he abandoned natural selection as being the force behind evolution. Doesn't work. Natural selection is incompetent to account for the incipient stages of useful structures. Charlie finally caught on. Mr. Nelson, follow Charlie's example, please. Catch on. It doesn't work.
$4.99 super chat from the ever lovely Laura, which definitely helps with the headache I'm getting from this much Hovind. $4.99 super chat. I'm giving everyone this money to replace the brain cells we have lost this morning. R.I.P. those neurons.
This textbook talks about evolution in action. Finches with larger and stronger beaks were better able to open the tough pods than were finches with smaller and weaker beaks. Darwin's finches is what started the whole thing. And he went to the Galapagos Islands, found 14 kinds of finches on each island had a different beak shape. Some islands, the only thing that grew there was tough nuts to crack, and so the heavy beak survived. Others had insects or fruit, and so the skinny beaks survived. It's still a bird. It's still a beak. It's a selection of a type of beak that was already in the gene code. Notice none of the birds got a jackhammer. They all still had a beak, okay?
Yes, Kent, because the idea of a bird growing out of its mouth a complex machine like that is outright silly. You know why it's a silly idea? Because we know that's absurd, because that's not how bird beaks are. That's not how jackhammers come about. The fuck are you actually trying to say? Seriously.
Still a beak. Evolution by natural selection had occurred in just 1 year. Really. This is the kind of stuff kids have to face every day in school. Nature Channel, Discover Channel. Over a long period of time, natural selection can lead to evolution. This is lie number 8 in my series, in my book. It's not true. See, if you worked in a factory that made cars, I worked at...
Stop. Once again, you're automatically into stuff that is artificial, not natural, not organisms, not things that naturally reproduce, not biological creatures of any kind. Whole thing stops right there. And as I've stressed before, and this is probably one of the novel things I've contributed to this entire greater discussion, is that in making this analogy, you automatically destroy the concept of the natural world and turn everything into something artificial. So you can't make an appeal to nature and appeal to anything other than artificiality. But you inevitably do that to try to prove your point. So you destroy your own point by making the point. It's really beautiful.
General Motors, this came kind of the dump truck, Daryl, that you're driving out there. That's the kind of truck I built back in 1873. Factories that produce cars have a quality control. I asked my boss one day.
Do they? Hey, Tesla's quality control seems to be shit.
So these trucks we're building, one every minute and 45 seconds.
And remember, those pieces of shit are made in America. So what does that tell you about American craftsmanship?
It's coming down the assembly line. How many of them have to go to repair before they can go out and be sold? In other words, during the building of it, something went wrong. And so they got to take it to the repair shop to fix it before they can sell it. He said, well, I've worked here 20 years. I've never seen one that didn't. That's what he told me. I couldn't believe it. Anyway, quality control is to make sure you get a good product. That's never going to change the truck to an airplane or the car to an airplane.
Yes, except that auto manufacturers during World War II, and I can't believe you don't know this, adjusted their tooling equipment to make things like aircraft. Components mostly, but some places, some factories went damn near all out. Kind of incredible. So, your analogy kind of doesn't work there, buddy.
It's not going to do it. And so you're counting on natural...
I'm not saying that's defending anything biological at all. I'm just tearing down your own assertion because it's fucking absurd.
Natural selection is a quality control. That's all it is.
What about truck to a boat?
A truck to a boat. That'd be more useful than an airplane around here. See, survival...
Truck to a boat. What was that, fucking Lupin?
Survival of the fittest does not explain the arrival of the fittest. By the way, the roads are looking great out there, Dale. We don't praise you enough for what you do around here. So get back to work. Did you see the new road up over that hill where the gully used to be? Go take the... I never dreamed...
Oh boy, get an emergency alert. National Weather Service, severe thunderstorm warning in effect for this area until 2:15 p.m. Central Daylight Time for destructive 80-mile-per-hour winds. Take shelter in a sturdy building. Well, I'm fucked. Away from windows? Shit, do I quickly need to install Ubuntu on my computer? Flying debris may be deadly to those caught without shelter. Well, I'm going for a walk. See y'all later.
I never thought of that. Now that opens up 40 more acres of like, wow, we can drive there. Okay. Back to the story. Okay. Survival of the fittest is actually a tautology, a sentence that means nothing. If you say, well, why did it survive? Because it's the fittest. And how do you know it's the fittest? because it survived.
Yes and no. I mean, you can get into why it survived. But the fact that it survived does show it's the fittest. Why is it the fittest? Because of these traits, which contrasted to the traits of other creatures that did not survive, shows how they did survive. See? A little bit of nuance goes a long way.
Okay. Look, it's not survival of the fittest. If a whale goes through a school of fish and eats 80% of them, it's not survival of the fittest. It's called survival of the luckiest. That's most of the time what happens, right? It's like driving on the highway. Is it always the best drivers that never get killed? No, there's lunatics out there who can kill the best drivers, aren't there? It's the other guy you got to watch out for. Anyway, by the way, they do not have an IQ test to drive in Alabama. Man. Okay. Dr. Kettlewell, Oxford University in the UK, introduced the peppered moth melanism story in 1955 as evidence of natural evolution by natural selection, which is what Mr. Nelson is counting on to get the skeleton, the backbone to change, and his best evidence for evolution is...
And I meant to say, hey, Joe, welcome to the party.
Well, everybody believes in it. Since then, it's appeared in almost every biology textbook as evidence for evolution. You can see the story in Melanism, Evolution in Action. The moth does not rest on tree trunks. After 40 years of watching, they found exactly 2 moths on the tree trunks. 2. And they said, well, I'll get to that in a minute. Moths have no tendency to choose matching backgrounds. The moth doesn't know what he looks like. He lands wherever he wants to. You might have a light moth land on a dark tree, and he doesn't even know or care, apparently. Kettlewell's result...
Kentucky atheist summing up every time Kent opens his mouth in a nutshell. What a dumb thing to say.
Results have not been replicated in later studies. The shift in moth population did occur from mostly light moths to mostly dark moths. But it took place well before the new lichens grew on the polluted trees. A parallel shift in moth population occurred in the U.S. industrial areas, but there was no change in the lichens. Peppered moth is a great proof of design. God wants to make sure some of the moths survive. Some are dark, some are light. He wants to make sure some survive to pass on the gene code. That's called planning ahead. I don't know if you know this or not, but I have had, 132 cars in my lifetime. Never had a new one. Always get a clunker like my van. We put about $4,000 into that thing. It's going to be worth $800. But how many have ever done that to a car? Now, come on, be honest. Okay.
I'm Hovind. Gotta do a show of hands. I'm relatable, Hovind.
I don't know. Where do I quit on this? Okay. Like Rich, you're Honda, right? Yeah, okay. Many of the cars that I've had, I know this is going to be hard for you to understand.
Joe is debating a DAL resident later today. I will totally be there, my friend. I'll set up the laptop and make sure that even if I'm lost in Guild Wars, I'll have that going, because that feels like a good way to go through the afternoon. Oh man, yeah. Everyone, make that your afternoon if you got the time. Joe's debate. As I don't think I'm going to stream again. I've had enough Hovind today. This is stream 2. I'm done. He says, knowing good and dang well he's probably going to do stream 3, but I won't. I'm going to relax. I'm not, like I said, the storm coming through has got me feeling kind of ugh. So let's finish this up.
Believe, but listen carefully. Many of them, including my van, have both a heater and an air conditioner. Now,
can you describe how that heater works, Kent? I'm curious. I just love how my soda bottles always like to pop while I'm in the middle of talking. I ain't even taken a sip. It's just been sitting there for a while and it just goes boop. So, wait, is that the same Joseph from last time? And thus, does that mean that's the Joseph? The tech guy Joseph? I just want to make sure. Oh, because I've got words and thoughts and stuff.
think about that just for a minute. Don't they do opposite things? Doesn't one heat, one cool? Why would they put them both in one car? Well, that's called planning ahead. They put a heater and an air conditioner because they don't know if it's going to go to hot climate or cold climate. So God gave all the creatures a gene code with a variety of options coming out in the babies. Some might have longer hair, some have shorter hair, some longer legs, some shorter legs, and gradually over many generations, the ones that are best suited to that in.
Wow, so that goober is the Joseph. Oh, okay, no, it is the same guy, but it's not necessarily. Yeah, so that's the guy I was thinking about, that you had talked to, so you talked again. I guess see if it is, if that wouldn't disrupt things too much. I don't know. But that'd be interesting if it is. And if it isn't, that's cool too. I don't know, something about the vibe doesn't give me that it's the same guy, but at the same rate, I mean, it's a Joseph. How many Josephs can actually be at DAL? Oh no.
Environment will survive and take over that area. So the dogs with long hair survive better in Alaska, and the dogs with short hair, thin legs, thin body survive better in the desert, like the dingo. That's not evolution.
Dingo came and took my baby.
It is natural selection, but it's selecting a slice of the gene code already existing. What baffles me about all this is how people can make these good observations and come to the wrong conclusion. I tell the story about the brilliant scientists. We're going to see how far a frog could jump. They put the frog down and said, "Jump, frog, jump." The frog jumped 80 inches. They brought him back, cut off one leg. Said, "Jump, frog, jump." He went 70 inches. They said, They brought him back, cut off another leg.
All right, Joe, I'll try to make sure that I'm there for the whole thing, honestly. Unless I pass out. I'm tired today. I'll be there, though, all seriousness.
Said, "Jump, frog, jump." He went 60 inches. They brought him back, cut off another leg. Said, "Jump, frog, jump." He went.
Yes, I will be careful, Stacy.
50 inches. The scientists got together and looked at it and said, if we cut off this last leg, we predict he should jump maybe 40 inches. Cut off the last leg, put the frog down, said, "Jump, frog, jump." Frog didn't jump. They yelled louder, "Jump, frog, jump." Frog.
Kent Hovind. Perfect candidate to do testing at Unit 731. This is always just a super barbaric thing for him to say, and he used to bring this up a lot.
Frog didn't jump. Actual jump was 0. So they gathered their data together and got all the scientists in the room, said, "Guys, look, you can see the chart. Everybody can see this. Something's gone wrong here. The frog jumped less as the legs were removed. Now that is a good observation." So they said, "We must conclude, therefore, that a frog with no legs goes deaf." That's a bad conclusion, okay? Yes, mutations happen, but they are neutral, detrimental, or harmful. They've done all kinds of experiments since 1910. The geneticists have been working with fruit flies because they have such a short generation time. I mean, with humans, you got to wait 20 years to get your next generation. Here you get them about, a couple times a year. They hatch, get married, grow up, and have their own kids in, a few months. So the faster generation time, it's called. They've introduced 3,000.
ASG, because Kent has to be a sick, twisted individual. That's all there's got to be about it. Like, honestly, I seriously believe his psychology is just a few stages away from serial killer. I really do.
1,000 mutations into the fruit fly population. They got flies with curled wings. Can't fly. They got flies with no wings. What do you call that? A crawl? It's not a fly anymore, okay?
We got a Hovind with no brain. What do you call that? Inmate 06452-017.
So they said fruit flies refuse to become anything but fruit flies under any circumstances yet devised. I agree, they're still a fly. See, all the mutations they observed produced fruit flies that were inferior to the grandpa fly. All of them did. So they said, well, flies must have evolved as far as they can go. Jump, frog, jump. Okay. That's a bad conclusion. So, this article in the, U.S. News and World Report, Darwin as fit as ever. Why? Well, they discovered fruit flies in the north have wings 4% larger than fruit flies in the south. That's proof for evolution. The peppered moth is proof for evolution. They counted the moths on the trees and said it's 95% light and 5% dark, according to the story. Then they started burning coal in the factories, and the trees turned black from the soot. So they counted the moths again, another government grant for a dumb study, and found out they're 5% light and 95% black, according to the story. Well, problem is 95%, 5%. This whole thing's a lie. Didn't happen. After watching the trees, they found a total of 2. Total of 2. What is 95% of 2? Hypothesis, this is from a textbook here. Hypothesis explaining the replacement of the light moths by dark moths can be formed using Darwin's theory of evolution by natural selection. Dark peppered moths are common in industrial areas where tree trunks are darkened by the soot. This peppered moth story is told in just about every biology textbook I've got in the library, a bunch of them. They're still teaching it at the Tulsa Zoo when I was there in '02.
They're still teaching it when I was at the Tulsa Zoo, 16, 17 fucking years ago at the time of this video's recording. Hovind?
Display that this is somehow evidence for evolution. Get the book Icons of Evolution if you want. We have that. We don't sell that one, do we? We should. There's so many we should sell. First, we got to get everything built and done.
That's in a video, too.
Yeah, excellent video. Icons of Evolution. They tell them, the students, do you think critically, boys and girls, do you think humans are still evolving? What kind of question is that? This question has what's called a built-in assumption. Do you think they are still evolving? Doesn't the question assume evolution happened? That's one of those questions like, have you stopped beating your wife yet?
I would ask if you have, but you have because she left Kent.
Well, now let's see. If I say yes, that means I'm admitting I did. If I say no, then I'm still doing it.
No.
Yours is no. Okay, you're still doing it. Okay. Is she getting the message yet, is the question. You beat her up every morning.
Oh, that's fucking scummy. You're joking about this seriously. Oh, wait. Of course you are, because you're fucking Kent Hovind. Just sorry. It doesn't even faze me anymore. I'm so burnt out from this BS. We got like a 2-for-1 of absolute bullshit in today's videos. In case you missed the stream this morning, out of the blue, while talking about freaking unicorns, he goes into some trans bashing. So that was a thing I had to deal with this morning.
Yeah. I would say, if I was a student and got this question on the test, I would say, teacher, this question is poorly written. It assumes evolution has happened when it's not. This is not a question to teach you how to think critically. Thinking critically? This is like asking the students, hey, why are elephants orange? I don't know how to answer the question. They're not orange. It's a dumb question. See, some questions are dumb on their face. Just dumb. The question is dumb. Why are elephants orange?
Some Hovinds are just dumb at their face. Look at this face. Fucking dumbass Hovind.
Orange. And they tell them, think critically. Do you think humans are still evolving? When the kid gets done taking this course at University of Texas, Dallas, he's going to think he knows how to think. When he doesn't. He knows how to be told what to think. This is a Soviet-style indoctrination type question. It's to make them believe something that's simply not true. You talked about genetic drift, Mr. Nelson. Genetic drift, a change in the frequency of an allele within population over time. There is no environmental influence that can cause genetic drift to occur. Genetic drift. He said you don't need faith to believe that because natural selection, sexual selection, genetic drift have all been proven to have a predictable effect. You don't need faith to believe that because natural selection, sexual selection...
Congratulations, we're all deafened by a Hovind volume increase. Editing error, Hovind.
other words, the male might select a certain female, or she might select a certain male, leaving the other poor guy out. He's out in the cold, He don't have a Corvette. He's got a Toyota, so the girls won't go out with him. And genetic drift have all been proven to have a predictable effect. Yes, Mr. Nelson, they've all been proven to keep the species exactly what it is. They've all been proven to not change it to anything else. The natural selection, sexual selection, and genetic drift have all been proven to show that evolution doesn't work, can't work. The dogs will produce dogs, the birds produce birds, the cows produce cows. There are no exceptions. And for you to just run off at the mouth and say, well, hey, this just works, it's a shame how many students are going to listen to somebody like you or to a teacher who goes through this same diatribe, and they're going to believe it, because after all, my professor said it. Just talk. That's your first evidence for evolution, is the fact that evolution works. Let's try the Imodium. Okay. See if that works. Anyway, we'll take issue number 2 that you think is evidence for evolution tomorrow. No, well, Friday, Sunday night, we'll do it. Thanks for joining us. Go to thumbs up, like us, subscribe, Dr. Dino.
Yeah, do all that stuff to my video, except, hit my websites down below on my links and stuff, and, post stupid crap on my image board, join the BBS, and talk smack about Hovind publicly. You can totally do that, I don't care. Etc., etc.
.com. Check our website out, get our video series, give it to your worst enemy, say, give you $20 if you watch the first one. That'll get them started. We get all kinds of calls where people say their friend or neighbor gave them one of our videos.
Hey Kent, will you give me $20 if I watch your video? I'll watch it completely uninterrupted in my own time, privately. I'll record myself watching it, just to prove to you that I did.
And change their life. That's what we're trying to do. Come join us at Dinosaur Adventureland. Thanks for your time. See you later. Bye.
Okay, no, stop. We're not doing double feature here. No double feature. We're gonna save that one for next time. Novel, testable predictions, because evolution works. You got it right, Joe. Hey, S'mores, been a hot minute. Yeah, that's the thing about live streams. Not everyone can be there at once for them. Sometimes you get a bigger group. Sometimes people miss it. It sucks. But at least you watch later. At least you stop in when you can. And I appreciate y'all watching every time. Give Kent shit to your worst enemy. First good advice Kent ever gave. Nice. All right, so that was part 5 of Kent's responses to R and Ra, with mine and y'all's commentary thrown in. Sorry, more mega yawns there. Let's see, we got storms coming through, so I'm gonna hop off here and go grab a lasso and a 6-shooter and go wrangle up some tornadoes or whatever the hell I do, whatever the most American thing to do is. Presuming it isn't total Armageddon around here. Yeah, 6 o'clock Eastern, 5 Central. Joe's stream, Kentucky Atheist. I'll be watching along with whomever else is there. That should be pretty cool. I'm going to make time for it myself. So, instead of me streaming, we're going to appreciate our friends' streams, because we're a community here. We're a team. We're a group of different people taking our particular skills, our particular viewpoints, and using them to fight pseudoscience, dishonesty, and the horrible crap that people like Hovind do. So, yeah, that's about that. Much love, everybody. No, Taku, I will not die. I'll at least try not to. I'm going to make it the last thing I do. Hovind. But seriously, much love, everyone. Oh, that debate is tonight. Joe has stressed that tonight he's going to be doing that. So, yeah, hit up Kentucky Atheist and check that out. Like I said, I'm just going to be in the chat. I'm just going to be watching. I'm not in the debate at all. I'm just saying I'll be there in the chat. You guys in there, we'll chat, have fun, hang out, and enjoy. Tornadoes are no joke. Tornadoes, they go around the city. You know, I would probably be okay. Might not. Still going to be some shitty weather coming through. But yeah, again, much love. Catch everyone next time. If you're in the Discord, I'll post updates. Yeah. I mean, I'm not going anywhere. I'm still going to be sitting right here, Stacy. That's the thing. There's nowhere to go. I'm in as safe a place as I'm ever going to be. If anything happens, it's going to happen. So yeah, catch everyone next time. Probably going to play some Guild Wars.